All right, so let's look at doing the same thing, but with a list of movies. So just like we have one student, we can have multiple students. So if this one, for instance, students might have a collection of students, right? Where you might have maybe a course or a section, right, that has multiple students listed under there. And you can get, from that section or that course or a list of students, you can set the students or you can get the students, right? This would be the setters and getters for that collection. And so you would annotate it similarly, right, with roots and the XML elements. But this XML element now would contain a collection of students as opposed to one single instance, right? So here in this case, we're instantiating two students, Alice and Bob, adding them to a list and setting the students for the list of students, and then just writing the object students to a file called students, right? So let's and it generates it as a parent students, right? And then lists them inside. Notice what it's doing, right? It's using the name, right, of the parent, right, as the name of the tag, right, as opposed to the name of the tag of the child, right? So that's one case where you might want to override, right, the name of the element instead of using the default, right? It's using the setter because the setter is set students, right? It's going to use as elements the plural, right? So let's for movies we would do something similar. We would create a movies. So let's do that. In here under the models, we're going to create a class, and here we might have a class called let's not call it movies. Maybe it's a library of movies, and under there we might have a collection of movies with setters and getters. Let's copy that. Oops. Copy. Jeez. There we go. Collection. Let's import that from util. We'll have to import. That's all, and we'll add the constructor with the field and also with no field. Source constructor with no fields. There we go. Once we have that, we can now decorate it with the correct annotations. And importing it. And the setter, where's the setter? Here's the setter. We'll annotate it as an element, and we'll import that as well. There we go. All right, and once we've done that, we can then create maybe a couple of movies. So let's create in our DAO. In our DAO, we'll say public void write library of movies to XML file using jaxb. So this is library. Library, and string is the XML file name. Okay, and that will look something like this. Actually, no, that's the from the main. Here we'll create the jaxb context. Okay, so movies. Well, this won't be movies. This would be library, right? Library. We're gonna write a library that contains multiple movies, and this throws an exception. So we're gonna wrap it in a try catch, and we're gonna create a marshaller and the file. So let's just paste that in there. Okay. Let's see what we have here. This would be library class, set property, and we're going to marshal the library. to an XML file, to the XML file, and the name of the file will be the base directory plus the file name XML. No, what do we call it? XML. What do we call it? XML file. File name. There we go. All right, so that's implemented. Meanwhile, in the JDBC, we're going to, I'll comment this out since we don't need this anymore. Instead, we're going to now try out to create a couple movies, which I have here, just a couple movies here, some dummy examples. Copy, paste. So I have movie 1 and movie 2. With some, so these are just some dummy movies. So that's some dummy titles with some plot 1 and poster 1, and this will be plot 2 and poster 2. And here we're creating a collection of movies. We're going to add these 2 movies. And we're going to add them to the library. So this is going to be library, new library. And it's going to be that new class that we created earlier. And we're going to say library set movies. And we're going to use the DAO, the new method that we just created, write library to an XML file called movie library.xml. So let's run that, and hopefully this will blow up. So let's refresh. There's movie library. And there it is. So we have library and then movies, right? So the top level library and each one of the instances of movies with a plot, poster, and title, the dummy values that we added. Make sense? All right. Let's keep going.